Hello everyone, today I'm going to be watching Filmtheory. After a very long time, I haven't seen anything from MatPat for a very long time because, I didn't see any interesting things and I didn't really check it often. I don't really go into my subscriptions list as much as I check out my bookmarks nowadays. But yeah, this one sounds fucking interesting. What everyone got wrong about Squidgame. I mean, I've watched Squidgame 3 times. I love it. I mean, I didn't get so many messages as people say, oh, the messaging, that was just so deep. I just watched it for fun, and then the second time I watched it because I wanted to realize the things that I didn't see and basically got in the first time, and I watched it the third time to analyze it a bit more and see what is happening, like the side stories, like the girl from North Korea, the like Ali's family, and just analyzing the details that the operators of this game actually gave us about dead people and their families. But yeah, let's go and see what this is going to give us and what MatPat has in store. We're going to start in the count of 3, 2, 1, go.
You're thrown into a series of 6 mystery games with 400 other players. A pot of $44 million is on the line. But more importantly, if you lose, you die. Other channels have covered the tactics to winning the specific games. And honestly, the show itself does a pretty darn good job of showing you creative solutions to its various puzzles. But today, we're gonna help you survive when you're going in blind, just like the contestants. This is how to survive the Squid Game.
Oh my god, okay.
Mild spoiler warning for some of the games and strategies. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's brought to you by our totally not made up sponsor for today's episode, USB Power Banks. Are you an off-duty police officer who went out of your way to infiltrate a secret society running a brutal death game in the hopes of discovering a long-lost family member? If so, a USB Power Bank is the product for you. This device fits into your pocket, is smaller than a cell phone, and can keep your camera powered for days on end, so that when you do finally perform a miraculous escape from Death Game Island, you have more than a few minutes of video and a 50-word notepad file to show for your efforts. USB power banks. Seriously, what were you thinking? Anyway, I finally got around to watching Squid Game, along with most of the rest of the US at this point, and I loved the series. It was tense, it was clever, it was also completely misunderstood by everyone watching it. You see, the thing is being called the next Hunger Games, the new Battle Royale, the cinematic version of Fall Guys. The thing is, these comparisons really miss the mark because fundamentally, this isn't how the games in the show work. And if you're one of the people making that comparison, it's likely gonna get you killed. Don't worry, most of the characters in the series fell into the same trap, and well, let's just say it didn't end well for them. But have no fear, MatPat is here. By the time you're done with this video, you'll understand the real way to survive the 6 rounds of playground games, regardless of what individual challenges you're faced with. So the next time some random guy in a subway offers you 100,000 won to flip his paper square, or when season 2 finally launches, because let's face it, this smash hit is absolutely getting itself a sequel, you'll be prepared to survive the Squid. So pay attention. The information today might just save your life and make you rich in the process. For the 10 of you out there who still haven't watched Squid Game, here's the briefest of summaries just so you get through today's theory. Gion is a down-on-his-luck gambler who's in dire need of some cash. He's got loan sharks after him, his mother can't afford her surgery, and on top of that, he's gonna lose custody of his daughter because he can't afford to pay a lawyer. Desperate, he agrees to play the highest stakes game imaginable. He's whisked away to a remote island with over 400 other competitors where, in order to win, they have to survive 6 different children's games. Some of them are pass-fail challenges like red light, green light, where failure results in execution. Others are player versus player games like tug of war, where the losing team falls to their death. As for why you'd possibly want to risk your life in a game like this, well, each death adds 100 million won to the prize pool. 100 million won! Can you believe that? Now all of you are scrambling to Google for that conversion rate. Don't worry, I did it too when I was watching the show, and so did everyone else based on the Google Trends search results for won to US dollar conversion. It actually
holy shit, that's amazing. Oh my god. One show. Oh, that's insane. That's a lot of money. I mean, I live in a third world country, and I assume it's an insane amount of money in Korea too. But yeah, I think that might not be fucking life-changing for some Americans, but again, it's a lot of money in different places of the world.
To about $84,000 per death. Considering that there are 456 contestants, you're talking about a potential prize pool of $38 million. But be warned, once you start playing, you're not allowed to stop playing. And those who do refuse to play have to worry about clause number 2.
Consent form clause 2. A player who refuses to play will be eliminated.
When they say elimination, they mean a bullet and your head intersecting in an unpleasant way. The only way out once the games have started is
consent form clause 3. If all of the players agree to stop playing, the games are allowed to end.
That's actually a mistranslation, by the way. It's if the majority of players vote to end the game. That's why subs are always better than dubs. So anyway, with the rules laid out, let's get to the strategy. Like I mentioned before, the players don't know what games they're going to be playing until they get to the Death Island. If they're observant, they can piece together clues based on the wall decorations around them, but still, it's not going to give them much time to prepare or practice. And so that's what we're going to assume today, that we've just signed up and have no idea what's in store for us. In this massive game of death, what should our general strategies be? First, we shouldn't assume that just because people are dying that this is a death game, because it's not. The rules state
everyone here will participate in 6 different games. Those who win all 6 games will receive a handsome cash prize.
If you survive, you win. And sure, well, each death boosts the pot. It's not like a Battle Royale or Hunger Games scenario where there can only be one left standing. Here, there can be more than one winner, and that's important. It means that the...
Okay, so the show didn't demonstrate that right though, because like at the end only 2 people survived. So if there was more than 2 people, would that change it? Like, oh, they had to change the whole game, right? So I assume they have all sort of backup plans. Oh my god, I can't wait for the second season, Jesus Christ.
Is not directly negative to your personal survival, which then opens up the question, should you be sabotaging your fellow players in order to boost the prize pot and advance yourself? This is a dilemma that actually pops up repeatedly throughout the series. In the second game, Song-woo figures out the game before anyone else does, punching a shape out of a fragile honeycomb candy. Knowing this, he immediately chooses the easiest shape, and then encourages the other players on his team to split up, getting them to take shapes that are much more difficult and much more likely to lead to their elimination. Obviously, there's all kinds of moral and ethical reasons why you shouldn't intentionally try to kill other people.
Third episode was so fucking like you were the first time especially, like I was literally sweating and like shaking because the tension was just so fucking strong, dude.
Song-woo does here in Game 2 is one of the stupidest moves that we see anyone make across the entire series. The people he chooses to sabotage are people that have agreed to team up with him. The players who, in the event of a fight, are more likely to have his back as opposed to, say, planting a knife between his shoulder blades. Oh wait, that's exactly what we see happen. They come to his rescue the following night when everyone tries killing each other. But teaming up isn't just about keeping people in your personal alliance safe. Keeping more players in the game for longer means more chances for other people to help you survive. Again, take that honeycomb game as the example. In it, players are given a needle to punch out their shape, which is fine for easy shapes like a triangle, but not very effective for the more fragile shapes like the umbrella or star. However, one person in the group, our hero Gian, out of desperation comes up with a completely out-of-the-box strategy, ignoring the needle entirely and licking the candy so the shape can pop out. This, in turn, saves multiple other contestants who copy the strategy. People who otherwise would have been eliminated just like the rest.
Using skills of others. Every person has a skill at something. Even if you think you're useless. I mean, he's so smart. MatPat's so fucking smart.
Between games 2 and 3, because these are men whose lives were saved by the person that they're now attempting to eliminate. You know what they say? 2 heads are better than 1. So 50 heads should be even better. And 400 heads is even better than that. It's why the internet hive mind is so good at solving puzzles. Everyone brings their own experiences and expertise to the table. So let's just say that you were, I don't know, faced with a challenge that involves jumping across panels of glass, with 50% of those panels being tempered and safe to stand on. Well, it would be really helpful if the group had someone who is a glass expert that could tell the difference between tempered and untempered glass. Oh wait, that's exactly what happens. Except instead of sharing his knowledge, the glass expert hides this fact until the end, after practically all the other players have died. This is stupid, not just from a statistical angle, but also from a strategic one, considering that most of the games are timed. Everyone else, realizing that they're just blindly guessing on a coin flip that could cost them their life, wastes time. Every second that you're you're hiding your knowledge is a second that the group isn't making progress. As a result, our glassmaker, despite having the knowledge that should have kept him alive through this challenge, ultimately dies because he runs out of time. Had he shared it from the get-go, mostly everyone could have survived what was one of the most disastrous and difficult challenges of the batch. Also, can I just digress here for a minute? This one bothered me. I just didn't really like this challenge. I get that it was...
Yeah, and it killed, it injured one of them so hard that she died. Like, that alone just bugged me, because the whole shtick of this like dude, the brother of the police officer, was like, we're gonna make this fair for everyone. First of all, it wasn't fair because some people were old and some people were fucking young and healthy. And then, I mean, the old dude, fuck that dude. I mean, we talk about it later. And then she got pierced, no medical attention whatsoever. So yeah.
It was a cool visual and interesting concept, but the challenge just didn't work for me. It didn't seem to be based on a playground game like all the others. The game makers cheat by turning off the lights midway through, which directly counteracts their whole everyone has a fair chance motto. The whole putting people into a specific order felt unfair, and then the way they conclude it with a giant explosive finale puts everyone's lives at risk. It was just good spectacle, but also something that felt kind of cheap. Alright, rant over. Of course, there is the elephant in the room. Every player who dies adds more money to the prize pot, but that's the wrong way to think about it. Let's assume that, like we see in the show, there are 6 rounds, and that there will be at least 3 games that require 50% of the players to be eliminated. This would be games like Tug of War and Marbles, where some amount of death is guaranteed. That means that your portion of the prize pot is already going to be sitting at a hefty 800 million won, $668,000 US, even before any additional deaths from the other games. If you're someone like Gian, who has loan sharks to pay off, a family member's surgery to pay for, and an ex-spouse to fight in court, that amount should cover everything while still leaving you with
1/10 of it is gonna cover all that.
A down payment on a new house. There's also an economic principle called the law of diminishing utility, which states that if someone is down on their luck, having an extra $80,000 is a huge, massive deal. If you're Gian, that money has a lot of use. But if you're already standing to win over $600,000, another $80K on top is certainly nice, but no longer is the life-changing sum of money that it once was. Once your basic needs are met, as income increases, you gain a correspondingly smaller and smaller increase in your life satisfaction. You get a slightly nicer car, a slightly nicer house. Therefore, it's not something that's worth risking your life over.
Yeah, exactly. The quality increase just goes down and down and down and down. Like, what are you gonna buy after a Rolex? Like a Rolex Mark II? That's gonna be like 1% better. And yeah, I mean, unless you're a poor person, sadly, you don't understand what, like, not even $1,000, like what $100 gonna do for like a poor person. How much they're going to get forward with that.
This is surprisingly a topic that the last episode focuses on, though for spoiler reasons I'm not going to play the clip. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that any winner of the Squid Games shouldn't have that money, but what I am saying is that there's a tipping point where each additional dollar earned is less and less worth risking your own life to achieve. And by just playing the game with survival as your first priority, you wind up with plenty of money to change your situation while also minimizing your risk of losing that life, so, you know, you can go on and spend it. Obviously, there's going to be rounds where you're forced to fight for your life and eliminate other players, but if you don't have to kill people, then don't. Never thought that's a sentence I'd have to say, but here we are. But there is one big concern that you have to be aware of. Clause number 3. At any point, the players can vote on whether or not to end the game. If the majority of players want out, that causes the game to end, not just for them, but for everyone. In order for you to walk home with your money, you have to complete 6 games. But people will probably vote to escape the games if they're put into a position where they're almost certainly gonna die. So with that in mind, let's go back to the glass bridge. Unless you have outside knowledge of what tempered and untempered glass looks like, the game is generally decided by random coin flips. And by coin flips, I mean the first few people in line coming down with a mild case of death for the good of the group. In the challenge, there are 18 sets of panels. Worst case scenario, you have 18 deaths. The best case scenario is 0 deaths, with the person in front correctly guessing every time, but fat chance there. As
very
unlikely. Correctly estimates when he's 3 panels in.
Probability that I'll get everything right is 1 in 32,768.
Overall, overall, if you're first in line, you have a 1 in 262,144 chance of survival. The average here is 9 deaths, with the probability distribution curve basically looking like a bell curve, which you can see using any binomial visualization tool. You have one of those handy, right? Using that probability chart, we can see that the first 6 people in line are basically screwed, having less than a 5% chance to survive, while the people going 13th and later have a 95% or better chance to survive. But even if you're trapped in the game with no calculator, it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to determine that you do not want to be one of the first 9 people to play.
Yeah,
so
you need to be
as a smart player, hopefully chose not to be one of the first few people in line. But even if you're feeling good about your odds of survival, remember that for you to actually make it across the bridge, you need the game to happen. Let's say that the game has been reduced to 13 players, and you're lucky enough to be 13th in line. That's good news for you. You have 95% odds to survive. However, you probably won't make it across the bridge for the simple reason that there are good odds that the first 7 people in line are gonna nope the heck out of there, going with a majority vote to end the game, meaning that even though you had the ideal position,
that's a possibility too. Holy shit, I didn't consider that
one. Good day, sir. And you see, this is exactly what could have happened in the show. 16 players remaining, knowing that the first 9 were likely to die, they could have voted to end the game right then and there, and because they were in the majority, clause number 3 would have been enacted. Game over. Now let's take the alternate scenario. Let's assume knowledge was shared and everyone's cooperating. At this point, there would have been 2 50% elimination games, tug of war and marbles. In the best case scenario, 456 players would have been reduced to 114.
Immediate.
By the time you get to the bridge, even if every single one of those first 18 people...
But it's it's 50%. It's always 50% in those. How nothing else is possible, because exactly the winners didn't compete against each other in that game exactly. Like, so still, it's not 1/4, it's 1 second.
People in line got cold feet, they wouldn't have enough votes to end the game. Games, tug of war, and take the alternate scenario. Let's assume knowledge was shared and everyone's cooperating. At this point, there would have been 2 50% elimination games, tug of
50%.
war and marbles. In the best case scenario, 456 players would have been reduced to 114. By the time you get to the bridge, even if
in both of them combined. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, that makes more sense.
People in line got cold feet, they wouldn't have enough votes to end the game. And instead of most of them being wiped out, we'd expect an average of 9 of those players, or 8% of the 114 player group, to get eliminated. 92% of players surviving to get past this game, pretty darn good odds. In short, your chances of survival increase the more people are around you to take the blows. So now that we've spent a lot of time talking about what not to do, what can you do to increase your odds of surviving in Squidgame? Apart, of course, from playing nice with your fellow competitors. Well, the first one is obvious. Don't panic. Red light, green light is an easy game, and the timer was very generous as long as you stay calm and you use your time wisely. Also, just like with the 3 clauses, make sure that you're paying attention to the game's rules. For instance, we see Songwoo cheat at marbles by misdirecting his partner, but his method for collecting 20 marbles doesn't actually involve breaking any of the rules that are established by the game master.
The player who manages to take all 10 marbles from their partner wins.
Repeatedly throughout the series, we see players presented with an obvious solution, like the needle in the honeycomb game, and they just assume that because this is the default or recommended way to play the game, it must therefore be the only way to play the game.
If it's not against the rules, it's allowed. So the lighter, the fucking licking, oh my god.
But rarely is that the case. You can lie to your partner and take his marbles. You can lick your candy until the sugar melts. The problem everyone falls into is that they assume certain rules are there when in fact they're not. In the Glass Bridge episode, we see that Guillaume
could you use your hands in that
keepsake with him, which ended up being relevant in that very game. A second, third, or 20 more marbles could have come in real handy with that one. Also with that Glass Bridge, the rules just state that you have to jump from panel to panel.
For this game, you will guess which one of the next 2 tiles is the tile made of the stronger tempered glass, and only step on those across the 18 pairs of tiles.
But nothing said that you had to land on the middle of each panel. Landing with your feet on the supporting bars holding up the glass is going to reduce the weight on that glass.
Oh, that's so fucking genius.
The breakage. Is it breaking the rules? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think so. But here's the thing. You know that you're going to die if you choose wrong, so why not try pushing the edges of the rules just a little bit when there's nothing else to lose?
Holy shit. Because they said you have to guess it right. They didn't say you have to move on it to get there.
By taking a moment to think about the actual hard rules of the game and not automatically dismissing unconventional solutions by assuming that anything else isn't allowed, you might actually be able to find the loophole that allows you to survive. Lastly, use your surroundings. Not only are the walls giving you clues, but your clothes, the bed, the springs, and the mattresses, all of it could potentially prove useful. Were you given a glass bottle yesterday as a part of your meal? Instead of breaking it to try and shank your opponents, why not bring it with you to your next game? Tug of war. Throw it onto your opponent's platform to throw them off balance, or put glass under their feet. Maybe cut the rope so neither side loses. Another thing that I want to get off my chest, this is just a terrible idea.
I think that doll senses when you move around.
That person in front of you is going to stop at times that you don't expect or anticipate. If they get shot, that bullet might go through them and pierce you, or their dead body might knock into you. And instead of focusing on the game itself, you're going to be focused on another person as you run down that field, which is not where your attention needs to be. In short, your number one strategy to surviving the Squid Game should be to ignore Sung-woo.
I think
it needs to add that sense of like, oh, a smart boy being a smart, like literally.
Put us at a disadvantage if we just choose one. You think?
For being the smartest person in the room, all of his ideas are dumb. I guess except for the tug-of-war game. Anyway, if you happen to meet a well-dressed man in a train station who invites you to throw squares of paper at each other, now you know what to do, and that's to say no. Because unless your desire to win more than $500,000 is greater than your desire to have more than a 12% chance of surviving the next week of your life, it's not going to be worth it.
Oh my god.
That's
I would take it. I would take it. Just for fucks. Now that I know these tricks, I would pick it. Fuck it.
As you can. See how many times you can press it before this video ends. Maybe you'll end up subscribed to this channel, maybe you won't. We'll find out together. It'll give me the weirdest data for unsubbed, resubbed to a video of all time. YouTube Analytics is gonna be so mad at me for this one.
Doesn't worth it. Doesn't worth it.
You're thrown into a series.
Okay, it ended. All right. Okay, first of all, don't judge me. First, don't judge me for taking it. I would go for it because now I know so much about. I don't know the games because they obviously would randomize the games and choose different ones, but I think I'm competent enough in the whole be calm when everything's blowing up and be smart when everything's getting destroyed around you and people getting shot, that I probably can at least win until the 5th game. Because the 6th, I can't kill someone. Like, I can't kill someone. Like, I can't just hand on kill someone. So maybe that's why I would just die. But again, he didn't kill anyone. He beat the crap out of him, but he didn't kill him. So, and he won. But I think the whole survival, like this survivor guilt will just bear you down and make you lose eventually. Unless like more people had the chance of survival in the last game, and that was kind of unlikely because they went with that glass bullshit. But to be fair, the glass one, as stupid and unfair it was to the like contestants, it was fun for the people, like the sponsors and the VIPs. And yeah, fuck them. But again, that's what the operator wants to achieve, an entertaining environment for the VIPs. So yeah, and that's it for now. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and of course support Matthew Patrick. But yeah, thank you, and for now, have a nice day and goodbye everyone.